XRP holders should be absolutely shocked here. There was a grand conspiracy from the entire time to prevent Ripple and XRP from replacing banks and like Swift. We do have some more information. We got Brad Garlinghouse, Monica Long, Ashish Burla talking about it. I also have a bunch of new clips that I've never seen before. I'm going to go through them one by one with you. Ripple and XRP are trying to empower the new plumbing and infrastructure for the world's new payment systems. Let's go ahead and understand what we've been up against from the start.
I also remember, especially because I was communications and then marketing, just the like absolute vitriol toward Ripple at the time. And it just felt like there was this mysterious dark cloud, this headwind that we couldn't quite put a finger on. Like, where is this coming from? Like, why so much hate? And then I will say, so Brad and I were exchanging notes with the Epstein files reveal of some of the...
Does that Epstein files get a lot of attention down here? I agree.
Yeah.
Well, so where, Monica and I both experienced, Chris Larson, co-founder of Ripple, chairman of the company, a fabulous human being. And he's a bit of a conspiracy theorist. And that's fun and interesting sometimes. And sometimes you're like, but one of the things that Chris has said for a long time, to Monica's point around, it's always felt like there's just an invisible negative force kind of attacking in various ways. And you're kind of like, what is going on? And he had always said that Joey Ito, who ran the MIT Media Lab, had something out for XRP and for Ripple. And, I admit I was always kind of like, look, I don't know if that's true or not, but like, we got to keep building. We got to keep going and like focus on what we can control. And as you may know, Gary Gensler ended up as part of the MIT Media Lab. Again, connecting those dots. It's like saying Voldemort. Yeah. Anyway, so it's interesting because Chris always was a little conspiratorial about this stuff. And now that we have seen the public Epstein files, you're like, holy shit, he's kind of right. And now what's interesting about it, they were afraid of us. They were afraid of us because the technology was ahead of its time and it was a threat. And they were trying to do things to, put pressure on it. And again, I don't think I totally appreciated in the earliest days how prescient some of Chris's concerns were about that stuff. But in retrospect, it was real.
Yeah, Chris used to always tell me, hey, people are hating on you. You're onto something big. And I was like, we're onto something massive. A lot of hate out there.
Remember, the lawsuit actually started, it was in the last days of the first Trump administration. And then Gary Gensler decided to take the lawsuit instead of he could have dropped it. He said he took it to the full extent and the years-long battle that we had to go through. So it was a conspiracy on all fronts to hold back the technology. And it looks like the more information that we are getting, kind of the more confirmation that we are understanding that we were up against it, right, from the get-go. And they wanted Ripple and XRP to fail. And it's just incredible that through all of that negativity and pressure and lawsuits and holding the ecosystem and the community back, we're still here, right? We're still fighting forward. And I think that is what they underestimated. They underestimated you and I. They underestimated the strength of Ripple and the partners and the developers and Flare and everybody else that is making this community, one of the best communities in crypto. That is what they underestimated. And now they look back and they say, you know what? We messed up. If we're looking back now, we probably shouldn't have gone down that road. If we knew the resolve the XRP community had, we would have said no from the start, right? They got taught a lesson here. But obviously, we're still hurting here because the development of the XRP ledger is not as big as it could have been, right? We wasted 3 years where people were scared to build on the XRP ledger because of all of these shenanigans, right? And it still frustrates me to this day, but we got to move on. Let's keep plugging forward. And here's in the clip.
So how does XRP fit into those acquisitions? I'd like to hear a little bit about that. And then Monica, what gaps remain now and how are you looking to close those gaps in the product suite?
Yeah. I'll take the first part and then have Monica. Like, I say this and I'm going to keep saying it. XRP is the North Star of what Ripple's doing. We care more about what's going on in XRP than anybody else. There's obviously a lot of people who care, but we care more than anybody else. That will remain the case. Sometimes you'll see Ripple do something and you'll be like, oh, I see a direct line between they did this positive outcome around XRP. There's a direct line. Sometimes even people inside the company are like, hey, I don't get it. I promise you that when we do something over here, it may have 1 hop or 2 hops or 3 hops, but we're doing it because we think it's going to drive an outcome in the XRP ecosystem. So if we use these two recent, the bigger acquisitions we made last year, a company called Hidden Road in the prime brokerage services business, and then second, a company called G Treasury, which has a sizable and growing office here in Sydney. I should mention that because I don't know if any were here, but kudos to that team. Both of them are a little bit different than how other crypto companies have approached it because they don't do crypto. right? G Treasury is last year processed about $14 trillion of payment flows. Do you know how many of those went through crypto or stablecoins? 0. And that's the opportunity. And I promise you, like, we're not going to go force, they have, over 1,000 corporates ranging from kind of mid-sized corporates all the way up to the Fortune 50. We're not going to go force Ripple payments on top of those customers. We're not going to go force Ripple custody on top of those. We're not going to force RLUSD, but we're going to start to introduce it. And we're going to just start to point out, hey, you're holding these deposits in whatever bank in whatever country and they're getting 0 yield. You could hold those in RLUSD and that would be a better outcome. Hey, did you know you could use XRP for your payment flows? And I'll tell you that the cultural fit of on both these acquisitions, of them understanding the North Star, they are bought in. They see how they can be a catalyst in transitioning a bunch of legacy, kind of boring fuddy-duddy corporates into this future of financial infrastructure. So I truly, deeply believe there will be robust opportunities in being the bridge between traditional finance and decentralized finance. I love this banner over here. Built for finance, trusted by institutions, XRP.
Wow. When Brad Garlinghouse speaks, it's just, he's one of my favorite people to listen to because he speaks with direction and force, and he understands the technology, understands where this industry is heading, and he understands how important XRP and the XRP community are to all of this. And when you're talking about institutional use case, right, you are giving these corporates, right, you come in with G Treasury, now you have the entire Ripple stack. You come in and say, hey, this is what you have been doing.